Hello everyone. So welcome to part 3 of beginner's introduction to DevOps practices. So for past in for the past two sessions, like we are going through about what are the DevOps practices and how CI/CD is helping for deployment automation and like the faster releases of application to the production. So I'll provide the link to the earlier videos in description as well as in the cards above, so that you can, if you missed to watch, you can watch it. Okay. So in this part 3, I'll be doing a code walkthrough of the Go application I have created for implementing the CI/CD automation, right? Because if we wanted to do CI/CD, that is basically to do the automation of build and deployment process of application to the different environments, right? So for that we need a application. So I have created a sample application in Go. So that will be a REST API application wherein if you run the application, it will be opening up and providing an endpoint. If we access the endpoint, we can we can provide some text so that it will convert the text into a QR code. Okay, that's the application I have created. Okay, so let's go into the session. So in the summary of part 1 and part 2 is basically we have gone through the what are DevOps practices. DevOps practices is basically the organizational mindset change wherein everybody in the organization needs to work together as a single team mentality for faster product releases and all, right? That is involving in strict adoption of DevOps from the planning phase itself till the deployment into production and the live environment, right? So that's a basic understanding of DevOps practice, and one of the important aspect of DevOps practice is following the agile practices and doing the continuous automation, automation testing, and the CI/CD and the security aspects of it, right? So these are all some of the important pillars of DevOps practice, and CI/CD is the one we are focusing in our sessions basically. Okay, so I have explained about in the part 2 session. Basically, I have explained what is CI/CD. We will also touch upon the CI/CD explanation in this session as well, because this session is another stepping point for our upcoming learning sessions, right? So I'll show you what is CI/CD as an explanation, and then we'll go through our demo scenario. Okay, that's the agenda for today's session as well. So basically, general flow of deployment automation, as you can see, right? So it starts from planning, and then backlog creation, and then backlog scoping, and then it will be added into Jira kind of tools and as a task, and the development team would be picking up the task for developing the feature or for the product enhancements and all, right? So basically, first part is to develop the code and then pushing it into the source control tools like GitHub or Bitbucket or whatever it is, right? And then they will be building the code and doing the unit testing. And if the programming language allows the automation testing for unit testing, they can also write that and add it as part of their development packaging, actually development testing packages. And then once after unit testing is completed, they will be creating a application packages. Basically, it would be a WAR file or executable or a Docker image, right? So that's the basic of development process. So that's called as continuous integration. So continuous integration starts from developer develops the code and checking it into the Git-based tools or source control tools, and then CI process would be doing the automated build and automated unit testing, and then it will be automatically creating the packages using containerization method or executable creation method. Actually, there is also something called security. Static code analysis also needs to be added, but I haven't added it here because I'm planning to take a separate session on the security aspects of CI/CD data, right? So this is a kind of understanding of CI, right? And in a summary, it starts from developer checking the code and then create till the creation of packages, right? And then comes the spinning up of environment, and then like a to lower test environment, and then deploying the code into the test environment so that testing team would run automated test cases or manual test whatever is planned in the teams, right? So they can do that. So basically, like spinning up of environment needed because sometimes in case of if there are any new configuration changes needed in an environment, it needs to be automatically updated in the newer environment, right? So that's why we can incorporate tools like infrastructure tools to create a new configuration files with the required developer configuration, and then we can spin up the environment, and then we can deploy the code so that the application would be working properly, right? So basically, in the process, uh, it's actually after the continuous integration, it will be continuous delivery or deployment. So basically, continuous deployment is something we can deploy the code without any approval from other stakeholders, right? So that's why it would be better if we can have a flow for continuous deployment in lower test environment. But if there is a need or a process in a team to deploy code in any environment with approval, then continuous deployment may not be recommended, right? So continuous deployment is basically without any approval, we can just deploy the code into an environment, right? So that's the continuous deployment process. So as part of our demo, we would be, I have implemented the continuous integration and continuous deployment flow because it's a demo workflow, right? So that's why I have created it. And then comes once after that lower test environment test and all being done, if there are no bugs, then and then comes the deployment to the higher environments like staging or production, right? So for staging or production, we definitely need to do it with approval. So that's why it is better to do on approval deployment in the higher environments basically. So basically, the difference of continuous deployment, continuous delivery is continuous deployment is without approval and continuous delivery is with approval. So, okay, that's the kind of differentiation. So this is the end-to-end high-level flow of continuous integration, continuous deployment, and continuous delivery. Okay. So next comes the our demo scenario basically. Right? So as part of our demo scenario, I have created a demo Go project for converting the text or link to a QR code. So once after the code push happens in the repository, it will be triggering the GitHub Actions workflow. In GitHub Action, I have implemented CA workflow that incorporates Go linting, code linting, unit testing, automated unit testing, and automated build and package using Docker build command, and then it will be using Docker push to push the code into the Docker Hub registry. And then comes the continuous deployment part, wherein I'm creating a Terraform code to deploy the Minikube cluster, and I'm deploying the Golang application that is created as an image in the previous step, right? So basically, it will be spinning up automated infrastructure in Minikube cluster, and it will be deploying the Kubernetes deployment actually. So once after it is creating the Minikube infrastructure, it will be spinning up the deployment code that is added in the Terraform, and then I am using Kubernetes service command to expose the endpoint so that we can have a end-to-end flow of testing whether that API is accessible in the workflow or not, right? So anyway, that workflow I will show, but for today's scope, we will be seeing only the first part of this CA part, right? So wherein I have created a demo application, and then that demo application we will see how that works in a developer environment, and then I will show you the simple sample Docker file I have created for the Golang deployment, right? So yeah, so this is the demo scenario. That upper part of this image is CA, and below it is continuous deployment, right? So that's the idea. Okay, so next is I'll just show you the code walkthrough of Golang code, whatever I have created. Okay. I'll just switch my screen. So if you guys have any questions, you can post it in the comment section. I'll reply to them. Okay, so I have shared my screen now. Basically, so in my Windows workstation, what I have done is yeah. So in my Windows workstation, what I have done is I have enabled the Windows subsystem for Linux feature, and I have installed the Ubuntu OS on top of Windows so that I can use it as a developer environment, right? Because I predominantly work in I predominantly like to work in Linux, so that's why I have enabled it in my Windows system. Okay, and for demonstration of most of the Linux based tools, it would be better to have a Linux system. So that's why I have enabled Linux operating system in my local. Okay, I hope you guys are able to see my screen. Okay, so basically, before that, I'll just show you the GitHub code I have created. Right, yeah. So you can see there is a repository called link to QR in my GitHub. So it's a public repository only. If anyone wanted to have a look into this repository, you can have a look, right? So basically, I have added a detailed documentation and how to execute this executable. Those information I have added. Okay. So yeah. So if you want to know, have a look into this code repository, you can just see that, right? So now I'll just show you the code walkthrough of what I have created. Okay. So basically, as you know, Go has been created by Google, and it's been very popular programming language. Majority of the open source tools based on Kubernetes technology has been developed on Golang only. So there are other tools available, but Golang stands out in the crowd for tool-based development. Right? Even Terraform also created using Golang. That's one example, right? So what I have done is I have opened the code of link to QR in VS Code, right? So yeah, so this is a structure, right? I have so basically Go programming language starts with a file called main.go. So in that main.go, the execution will start, and we would be calling the uh, major endpoint functions in this code, and we are using net HTTP package to implement REST API related functionalities in Go, right? And then we have written so basically what it will be doing is on a high level, this code will be when this code is getting executed, it will be calling a function for creating the HTML page, right? And then it will be that HTML page would be accessible from the endpoint, basically, right? So the major part of this functionality of this code is to create the HTML page out of the code that is being provided in the function called render HTML, right? So I haven't provided any other endpoint access here, CRUD function or anything. So basically, I'm using the root path in this endpoint. I'm not using any other sub paths in this. So our application would be accessible from the root path only, right? So basically, this in this code, you can see there is a function called render HTML. So that is a kind of package I have created that will be creating the HTML code that will be showing up the HTML page with a text box and show QR button, basically, right? So this code has been inspired from the Go documentation only. So I have seen this code, so I thought of creating it as a demo package so that anyone wanted to generate a QR code for the text or link, they can use it, right? So basically, this is an enter HTML function, and it will be I'm not deep diving into this because it's only a demo application. I just wanted to show as a basic for our CICD implementation, right? So this enter HTML page will be using the template function, and then it will be rendering this HTML page uh, in the endpoint, basically, right? So that's the idea, high level. And Go also allows us to provide a test-driven development, so that we can develop using a Go test module actually. So what I have done is I have created Go test module to test that whatever the code we have created in this main render HTML, right? So that needs to be verified before it is going to the further levels, right? So I have created this Go HTML test file, and I have provided the sample HTML render output that has been taken from the curl command, right? So anyway, if anyone wanted to know more about this Go test, I would also make a session about that actually. So because Go testing is very important aspect of test-driven development provided by Go. Okay, so basically it will be creating a new request using the URL. For the URL test.com, we are trying to convert a QR code basically. So this input we have to see first execute manually, so that it will provide one value in the curl command output, and then we can use it for adding it in the this test-driven development code, basically the Go test code, right? So that's it, and this is the kind of high level. If anyone has any question, you can just post it in the comment. So basically, main.go is the major entry point of this function, and then it will be calling this render HTML function, and it will be rendering the HTML page, and this main.go would be accessible in the 1718 port, basically, right? So when we run this code in a local system, it will be running this endpoint in localhost colon 1718 port, right? So that we will see now. Okay, so now the code walkthrough has been done. So first we'll run the go test command to see whether this code is working fine or not, right, before executing it. Sorry, so I don't have Go installed in this local. Sorry for that. So basically, yeah. So just to move on, basically, we can also use Docker commands to create Docker image out of this code, and then we can just execute the Docker image for accessing that, right? So whatever executable we need to have it on by running the go build or go install command. It can also be installed using Docker command actually. Okay, so basically, I'll just execute the command for creating a Docker build. And before that, I just wanted to show what is there in the Docker file. Okay, so basically, if you can see, we have the Docker file here. Okay, so in this Docker file, basically I have added from Golang Alpine image actually. So basically, what it will do is it will be doing the entire of this build operation in the Golang Alpine image. Alpine is a minimum size image that we can use for creating images, because otherwise if you are using a normal Golang image, it will be of multiple MBs, but it will be only few hundred MBs if you are using Alpine. And these are all some of the environment variable we are directing the Docker image to have, because this will be helping us to understand what kind of OS we are going to run this command for, right? So based on that, it will be choosing. We need to write the rest of the commands, right? So here I'm using Linux-based command because Golang Alpine is Linux-based command, right? And then I'm providing a working directory for this link to QR code. So basically, in Golang, the Go source path would be always /go and src path, and inside that I am just adding this link to QR code. And this copy command will try to copy the Go files from our source code path, right? So here we have three Go files like main.go, render.html, test.go, render.html.go, right? So these three files will be copied into the Go directory, Go source path of Go path, SRC, and link to QR path. And then we are trying to build the code, right? So when we run go build -o link to QR, it will be building the code, all the Go files that are available inside the repository, and then it will be creating an executable with the name link to QR in the /home path, actually /home directory. Okay, not /home. It will be creating the Go executable in the slash path, right? In the slash directory. Okay, and then we are exposing that 1718 port inside, like, from the image, so that this application can be accessible, right? And then this is the command that will be running when this image is running. This is from where only we will be accessing this endpoint from the outside world, right? So this is the Docker file. Okay, now I'll show you, like, how to run this command, okay, using Docker. So basically, first we need to build the Docker file locally. Okay. So let's clear this. So now in this command, we are providing the Docker build to use the Docker file in this path, and then we are tagging that image with the Docker Hub ID, user ID, and then the image name colon tag name. So since it is a local testing, I am providing the name as local test. Okay, I am running this. I'll run this command. So it is now fetching the Golang Alpine image from the Docker Hub, and then it will be doing the rest of the operations, whatever we have added in the Docker file, right? So that is for doing. So it is now fetched the Alpine image. It's only 100.94 MB. So yeah, so initially I thought of executing this go build command, but unfortunately, this Ubuntu image I haven't in this Ubuntu OS in Windows I haven't installed Go. So that's why I was directly jumping into this Docker implementation. So now we can see, it is setting up the working directory path to link to QR, Go source link to QR, and then copying the files, all the Go files into the current path of link to QR, and then it is running the build command. Okay, so that it will create the link to QR executable. Okay, so that's what it is doing now. So the build process is going on. So I'll also copy the Docker run command. So this is the easiest way to test our code, right? So basically, in our case, we have a Golang code, and for that Golang code, I have created a Docker file, and simply by running the Docker build command, we are creating the application image package, right, for this Golang application. and then we are building that image so that it will be creating that image in the local, right? So now we'll test the image is listed or not. Okay, you can see 16 seconds ago this image has been created, right, with the tag name localhost that we have given, and with our all the code packages, that image stands at 331 MB, right? So if you are using, if you are not using Alpine image, if you are using Golang image, it will be more than 1 GB or so, right? So that it would be like it is better to use Alpine image for simpler or smaller applications, right? So that's the idea. So that now the image is been already built in the and available in the local. Now we will run the Docker run command, and we will expose that port 1718 so that we can access the application. Okay. Sorry. So, okay. So here in this Docker run command, Docker run would be the command, and -p is the port number we need to expose, right? So we need to start the service. My system is having some issues. Okay. Sorry for the trouble, guys. Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the trouble. Yeah. So we'll run the Docker image now. So that now the image is running. You can check it by running the Docker ps command. So you can see the Docker ps command showing that link to QR local test image is currently running in our path. Okay, so we will try to access that command in our local host path. Okay, so we will be accessing it now. http // host 1718. Okay, and then the root path. Okay, so now we can see it is showing that link to QR code. So I'll try to provide my like, no, I'll try to provide my portfolio URL just for a sake of demo. Okay, so it will show the QR. So if you are having your mobile in hand, you can try to access this QR. It will open the website g7.dev, right? Similarly, we can try to give some other URL like google.com also. Okay. So whatever has been added, entered, it will be providing the QR code for that. So you can see right now. So this application is currently running in Docker run, and we have exposed the port 1718 for that application to be accessible in our system, and then we are accessing the TS system using the localhost path, and it is running that application in our local host, right? So as a next step to automate this, so basically whatever we have done manually now, right, we will be implementing it into the CICD automation or orchestration tool, basically, right? So in our case, we are using GitHub Actions as a orchestration tool, and this entire operation of code building, code linting to till the application creation, that would be automated via GitHub Action workflow, right? So that's the idea, right? So you can just see that now. So now, if you wanted to clear up this image, you can just uh, like run docker stop the image ID. Okay, so the image has been stopped now. So if we run this local host, like, uh, if we run this local host, it will not be running now. Okay, it will not be running because we stopped the container now. Okay, and if needed, you can also remove the image, but that's okay. Okay, if you wanted to do, we can do. Otherwise, we can leave it as it is. So as I mentioned in this session, like as a summary, we have seen like what is the Golang code we have created. Okay, so that our Golang code would be creating a HTML page to our Golang code would be rendering an HTML page that will be used for converting a QR code, like text to a QR code, right? And then we have seen what is a simple Docker file, and we have seen like what all the steps added in the Docker file, like working directly, copy, and running the Go code inside the image, and then it will be creating an executable, and then we are exposing the port 1718, and we are running the executable to access the application, right? And then we have run the Docker command locally. We build the image locally, and then we run the Docker command and access the application using localhost 1718 port, right? And we have seen it is converting a sample text or URL given in the text box. Okay, that's the idea. That's information we have gone in this video. Okay. Uh, so yeah, I think that's it for this session. And in next session, what I will do is I will walk you guys through the workflow I have created. Right. So if you can see here. Uh, so as part of our CSC workflow, we are using GitHub Actions, and actually I'll show you how to create a GitHub action workflow inside a repository, and from that session we'll be completely deep diving into the CI/CD automation using GitHub actions, basically, right, for this particular repository of code. Okay, wherein we have created a Golang application for running our link to QR application. For that, we will be creating a CI/CD workflow, basically. Okay, that's the idea. Okay. Hope this session might be helpful, and if you guys are interested to know more about Go programming language, you can just let me know. I will plan for a session, right? Because in this DevOps practice session, we are majorly focusing only on CI/CD automation, right? And the scope for application might not be that much needed, right? So that's why I have not deep dive much into the Go programming language in this session, but if needed, I am ready to take some session regarding STPA development in Golang. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, hope you guys liked the session. If you are if you are happy with this, provide a like, and yeah, thank you. And if you haven't subscribed my channel, please subscribe. Okay, thank you guys. Okay, thank you then. We'll talk again soon.